A2TP podcast, episode 142, and we are back. It's your boy International Walt.
It's your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And we are back in the building for another episode of us. A2TPodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify are the platforms you can catch us on. There's some other ones coming up soon. They're on the way. Once Amazon we get that Music. List, Amazon Music is one.
It's active.
It's active. iHeart, no?
Not yet.
Okay, so there's a few coming on the way. When those update, we will let you know on the new platforms that you can catch us. Get right to it. How are you?
One thing I do want to clarify, A2TP podcast, you can find, and we'll combine, but make sure when you're searching for our most recent episode, it is a capital A, lowercase CT, the number 2, the podcast. So you'll also see a station or a channel with ACT all capitalized, still us. We're going to merge those accounts when we figure out how, but for our most recent, capital A, lowercase CT, the number 2, the podcast.
Cool. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Mentally, probably an 8.5. Just going through what's her name? Heather Headley? No, that's not Heather Headley. Emotional roller coaster. Who's that? Vivian Green?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's just life. Financially, a 10. Looking forward to preparing for some getaways, small getaways in preparation for the new year with some bigger getaways, but a 10 nevertheless. Work is a 10. Work is really good. Work is a 10. And physically, I was almost a 10, but my big toe hurts, so I'm gonna say I'm a 9. Other than that, been getting it in the gym. That feels great. So my big toe though, I gotta be going to the gym is one thing, but you gotta be prepared. You don't need a whole bunch of fancy stuff, but the right footwear is essential. And I think I wore my sneakers out. They're good because they're light and they're comfortable, but I think I wore them out because my big toe hurt. But other than that, yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on your mental? Because your energy seems down.
That's pretty much just it. Emotional roller coaster. It's like you can be up one second and somebody say something or do something or look some way, or it's just one of those things. And it's one of the things that I try to implement is, and I guess people say it is kind of cliche, not to let outside forces affect you internally, but that's difficult, especially when you live with people, and you gotta interact with people. So sometimes that's a little difficult. But yeah, it's
What's difficult? Interacting with people?
No, not allowing other people to, or when I say outside forces, like other people to affect you internally. Like other people's emotions or feelings or disposition. It's hard not to let that impact you when you're living with, if you're a couple, so it's only one other person. I would imagine even if you're in the house with a family, I remember just being a kid sometimes, your parents might tell you, don't be walking around here with an attitude, giving everybody else an attitude. So I guess no matter what the size of the family is, it's probably easier to divert around people if it's a larger family. But when it's 2 people or probably just 3 people, it's other people can influence your emotions, and so that's that.
How do you think your emotions are on a daily basis when you say stuff like that? Like you just was saying, other people.
Well, that goes both ways. I mean,
Well, you never said that. That's why I'm asking. So it's
I'm saying anybody. I would think that it's hard for one person not to allow another person to impact them internally. So, going both ways. Anybody in a house, if something is wrong with one person, it's probably hard to not allow that to affect you internally, is what I was saying. Even though, that's like, one of those cliche things people say, don't allow outside forces to affect you internally. That's hard to do when you are in close quarters with people. And not even living, because I would think even like in a work environment, I mean, people ain't worked in offices in a long time, but if you're in a work environment, you work in close quarters with somebody, with people. So, if somebody is kind of off or something, as much as you may try not to, it may not always, but it can impact the day or the mood of others if you're in close quarters. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think I'm not saying that I am exempt from that. I'm sure it goes that way for you, too. If my attitude or disposition is a little funky or something, no matter how good, you may come in feeling great, upbeat, and it's like dun-dun-dun-dun.
No, what I'm saying is like if you're speaking about us, like you take you saying like a person's energy or a person's disposition can affect the other person, and I totally agree with that. My point is, do you think like you saying like you trying to feel wholesome and you trying to, I guess, give off the good energy and not let bad energy affect you, not let outside things affect you?
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say bad energy, but yes, because
okay.
Yeah.
But do you like how about you? Do you think you give off good energy every day, all day, or you say the right thing every time, or you always look like when you were saying how somebody could say something or look a certain way? Like, do you ever consider that it's you and it's
Sometimes.
not like anybody else?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely take accountability. I know sometimes my tone can be off, or I can be a little snappy, or yeah, absolutely. I know that sometimes things can be.
So in those moments where it's like, okay, it can be frustrating not knowing why you're going through something or why there's a hiccup in the road, and it's like, damn, because I don't know, it's frustrating because you can't pinpoint it. But when you take accountability and think, okay, maybe it's me, or like what's my question is like, do you think about that in a sense?
Do I think? Yes, I think in situations sometimes I will assess, like, is it me that's tripping? Is it me? Or is it not? Or could I have handled that a different way? And sometimes it's just a matter of difference of opinions, because and I may think, okay, in an effort to de-escalate a situation, I may react or respond one way with good intentions, thinking, okay, that's de-escalating, and that might be misinterpreted. So, I mean, it's, you can have good intentions and it's not received well. You could be joking about something and it's not received well. You could be being facetious about something and it's not received well. So just because you have good intentions in approaching something doesn't mean you still take a chance of it not being received that way.
Got you.
How are you?
I'm good. Mentally, I feel like a 9. Finances, I feel like a 10. Work, I feel like a 9, and physicality, I feel like a 10.
Did you start? I know you talked about starting a gym, not physically but work gym. How's that going?
Work gym is going good. I started it. It started right in the beginning stages of it. There's some plumbing going in for the bathrooms and shit like that. But
is it any interesting architectural features?
No. It never is in a gym. It's just a gym. It's just a big space where people gonna put machines and work out. So it's not nothing. The only thing that pops in the gym probably is the colors, but it's not. It's basic 90-degree angles and straight walls.
No, like rock walls or nothing.
There may be something like that, but that's not something you build. That's like something you order and put on a wall.
Okay.
But that's not nothing like you build, like from a builder standpoint.
Okay.
I might build the wall that's behind the rock wall, but not the rock wall itself.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's your wows and woes for this week?
Well, wow is just that made it another week. Had a good week so far. Um, just just uh just happy that I'm alive. That's all. Just happy that I'm alive. I'm happy that I'm going to the gym every day. It's my main focus. I don't like the way I feel when I think I'm going to miss or um, not necessarily on Saturday and Sunday because my goal is to rest, but I just don't like the feeling of thinking I'm going to miss the gym. And I don't know how healthy that is mentally, but that's just how I feel. Woes is, just being transparent. It seems like there's always something between us, and that affects me. It affects everything about my day. It affects everything about my mental. I do feel like sometimes it's really, really, really hard to talk to you, and I don't like that, and that's my woe. Sitting here as you asking me, your wows and woes.
My wow too is the gym. Oh, it sounds so weird to say that, but just the consistency. I I don't necessarily feel like you in the sense that. I mean, I am motivated to go every day when it's time to go, but it's one of them things. I'm happy that you are as motivated as you are because that keeps me motivated, at least right now. Well, one, I don't have no membership. I'm, leeching off of yours. But I don't know. I don't want to be deterred from going if it's like you don't feel like it. But I'm happy.
Why would you be leeching off my membership? Did you say that facetiously, or like?
Well,
why,
yeah. I mean,
why can't like a couple and that lives in one house have one membership?
Well, no, I'm saying that because we don't have one membership, because it's not like I can go without you. So when I say leeching, meaning I'm your guest every time. Like, we don't have one membership. You have a membership and I go as your guest.
That's still one membership. You didn't name two memberships. You said one.
Right, but I mean, so it's not like a couple's membership. Like, you are the member. They still got me listed as prospective. So if you don't go, I can't go. It's not like a membership that we both.
No, I didn't mean that. I just meant one membership. Whether you had it or I had it, if you had it, I would be going with you every day.
Right, but I'm saying if I wanted to go, like, okay, I know you don't want to go Saturday, or if I miss a day and I want to like say, okay, well, let me get this day in since I missed a day. I can't do that because I can only go contingent on you going. So yes, I was saying leeching facetiously, but technically you're the member, I'm the guest.
Right, but I'm just saying if that worked either way, it almost doesn't seem worth it, whether it be you or me, if we missed a day just to go on a Saturday or a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? You're paying for a full membership. You're going with your partner every day, who it's kind of like you're the guest, so you don't need to pay for a membership. So the only time you would have to pay for a membership is when you felt like you missed a day and I want to go on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so technically, yeah, it probably wouldn't be worth it because we do go together. But if we didn't, or God forbid, if you got injured, then, you got to sit out for a week. That means I got to sit out for a week too. I mean, it doesn't mean I can't do other stuff, but I can't go without you. So you're the member. Like, it's not like a couple's membership. You just have a membership and I'm leeching. And I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Because I mean, I don't mind doing like a work at home. I mean, work from a YouTube workout or something like that if necessary. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm happy that you are motivated to go every day so that, it keeps me going.
You would have been bailed?
No, it's not that I would have bailed. I think
you just wouldn't go every day. Even when you was at your height of gym, you wasn't going every day.
I know. Well, I wasn't going every day. I was going like probably three. Right. I was trying.
And I'm saying, like, I'm giving you props. Like when you was at your peak.
Yeah, I probably was going like 4 days. But see, I may have been working out on the weekends too. So out of the 7 days, I might have been working out 4 to 5 days. But you're right, that might have included a Saturday and or a Sunday. So, yeah. But nevertheless, it feels good. So that's my wow. The woe is this web. Even though today got a little bit nice, but the fact that summer is over is kind of like womp womp womp. Like that's my woe. I am not ready for it to be cold. We only made it to the beach one time this summer, the Jersey Shore, which I mean, still I don't like the Jersey Shore water, but I can lay on the beach every weekend if our schedule allowed, but our schedule just didn't allow for that this summer. And just to think like, wow, summer is like over. It makes you realize as a kid, you know, when you would have the summer vacation off and it felt like you had so much time. It really didn't. It really, like...
No, you did as a kid because you didn't have shit to do. You didn't have responsibilities. So your full 24-hour days felt like 24-hour days. It felt like 5 months of summer, but it was only 90 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, 12 weeks. That's all you get, 12 weeks.
As a kid, it felt long as hell.
But I mean, in terms of the time frame is the time frame. It's still 12 weeks. Now, of course, sometimes you get out of school a little earlier or a little later. But I mean, yeah, those 12 weeks now, it feels like 6 weeks because you're spending so much time doing other stuff. But it's just, yeah. And then working from home too, as much as it has its benefits, I think that too kind of warps your time frames as well, because I don't want to be, I mean, I love the summer. I love being in the heat when it's a heat appropriate, like being at the beach in the heat or being on vacation in the heat. I don't want to just be out in the heat just because. And I don't really have to worry about that, thank God, because, you know, I'm working in the house. So when it's a heat wave and all that, like you would come home and I would be surprised, like, oh, really? It's that hot outside? Or I would see the news and they were talking about, oh, this is the 4th day of the heat wave. And I ain't been hot at all because I'm in the house all day. So that kind of makes the summer go by fast too when you're not really immersed in the mix of it. So yeah, that's just my just goodbye summer, but counting down to summer 2024. God
Fall's
willing.
The best time of the year anyway. When all the leaves come, the colors, the crisp air. When it's not freezing. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I like 4-degree weather, because I don't. But a nice cool 72, 70 with a breeze is beautiful. Like even shorts and a hoodie like feels comfortable outside, where you still can stand in the sun and feel heat. And then if you get in the shade, you definitely need long sleeves. That's like the perfect weather. It could be like that all year round. With like, what I'm saying is like it's nice like it was today, but at night it gets cool. But the daytime, you still got your heat out there. If you exert yourself outside, you will sweat. It ain't that cold. But at night, it gets to like 50 and stuff like that.
Not see the 70. I was with you on that.
I'm talking about nighttime.
No, I'm just saying I don't even want it to be 50 at night. Like I don't want to be cold. Like I don't want to.
But
like
the nighttime, when it's 50 at night, that's when the windows crack. That's when the heat comes on. That's what you like. So it needs to be 55 in order for us to do that.
But if you're outside though, like we were out last weekend and having a good day, and then we had on like shorts and a sweatshirt or something, and at nighttime it was like, oh, okay, it's chilly out. Like I just don't want to be chilly. I don't ever want to be cold. I want to live somewhere where.
Well, could you stand a nice chill at night and not cold? Like yesterday was cold and rainy and damp and like a wet, but the night we was out and at the restaurant, like it was just cool because the sun went down. Like you can't stand that, or is that like, no, I'm not just chill, I'm cold?
No, that was just chill, but I would rather it not be.
And you had shorts on, so like if you had pants and
that's what you were saying, shorts and a hoodie. I want to wear shorts and a hoodie and not be chilly.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to wear shorts. Like I don't mind the fall, but a nice crisp. I would say 65 like be the low.
Right.
Low, like no 55 while we outside.
No, I mean if it's like that at night, then that's good because you crack the window this much and your heat on. That's like perfect sleeping weather.
Heat on, fan on, and some covers.
Yeah, it's perfect.
We gotta
sleeping
pull out
weather.
the thicker comforters.
That's your job. I don't know where that stuff is. What happened this week? What do you want to talk about?
Did you see in Philadelphia and I'm not sure if this was on your topics, but you can mention it really quickly. They dropped
You're not sure?
Well, I already started now,
How not sure are you? Is it there?
Well, I didn't know you wanted me to specifically reference it, but they dropped all charges against Officer Dial for the shooting of Eddie Irizarry.
Mm-hmm.
And, the city went a little bit bonkers. Not nothing too crazy. The sad part is, like, they don't really care. There was a small protest around the Criminal Justice Center, but then all the recklessness that was going on Walnut Street just for the sake of looting, it's so sad, and it's like a little bit of secondhand embarrassment.
Because we're marching to City Hall and they stopped that. So that's what they was out there for, to march to City Hall for the kid, but then the police in City Hall canceled and stopped the route there. So I guess people went bonkers, showing anger or frustration, and we're not allowed to protest tonight.
No, I think it's two different crowds. It's the protesters and then it's the looters. Those people raiding the Apple Store, Foot Locker, Lululemon, they don't care about them charges being dropped. They looked at it.
I don't think so either. But I don't know if we can sit here and distinguish that it was two crowds. The whole thing was supposed to be a protest. They stopped it, and then that's where all this went awry. So are you saying some people went down there to protest? You think they started looting? I would think some of them did. And I don't think that it was just people in the house saying, hey, look, it's protest, it's about to protest, let's go loot.
I absolutely think that there were. I think the crowd of protesters was the crowd of protesters. Now, not to say there may not have been some crossover, but I think the crowd of that crowd of looters was a younger crowd that their intent there was completely to loot. Like, they didn't care.
I disagree that it was two separate crowds. I think the crowd of protesters was the crowd of looters and one and the same.
I seen people posting stuff like facetiously but seriously, like, all right, y'all, what time we looting? Like, because
but that's always been that way, though. That's not anything new. Like, that's always
been. But why does looting have to come? Why are you stealing to protest against what you perceive to be an injustice?
But that stuff, I agree with you. Why are you doing it? But I know that shit goes hand in hand. Like, breaking windows, protesting, and looting, it's all part of the same thing. Are you supposed to do it? Do I agree with it? No. But it goes hand in hand every time there's a protest that goes awry.
That's sad. Like, you should.
There's peaceful protests out there that happen every day, but then there's ones that go awry, and they always end up getting stores broken and fires burning and cars flipped over and looting.
But that's what I'm talking. The protest, you want to break windows, fire, all that. I don't agree. But that is a demonstrative protest. As soon as you take some sneakers, as soon as you take an iPad, yes, as soon as you take some tights, whatever your feelings are, if you truly have any feelings towards, again, the perceived injustice, it negates it. Like, because those sneakers that you're stealing ain't making up for whatever social injustice that you think has happened. I totally agree.
The sneakers and Lululemon pants you stole doesn't have shit to do with that kid getting shot.
Yeah.
That cop shooting that kid that way. It has nothing to do with that. It's not a sign that you're showing anger. It's a sign that you want something for you right now, and you see an opportunity and you're trying to take advantage of it. That's what that means.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you. None of that shit is right. I disagree with it all. But every time a protest goes bad, those are the things that happen when it goes bad. People start throwing rocks. People start jumping on cars. People flip cars. Somebody got a lighter and they set some shit on fire.
Yeah, all that I think is part of a protest. Again, it's bad to be damaging stuff, but as soon as you start stealing, it's like, come on, y'all don't even care.
Yeah, it fucks the protests up.
Speaking of protests, the writer's strike is over.
The writer's strike is over. I'm happy because there ain't jack shit on TV. Also, 10,000 people get to go back to work, so that's always a good thing. Now, hopefully the actors will get back to work, but now that the writers are writing stuff, they can have stuff for the actors to act in. Maybe they'll be next. They got a 5%. Well, it's like a 10% bump in pay. I think it's 5% now, and then 3% over the next 2 years that it'll go up. So a 10% bump over like 3 years. I didn't see any mention in the article of where they landed on AI and how they are going to rectify script writing and all that kind of stuff.
So what was their request for
their
movie
request
producers
was
not to use
more
AI?
money, royalties on stuff that they already done, and AI. Like, where does that fall as far as a writer's room going from 9 writers to 1 writer and an AI machine?
So that's what I'm asking. What was their request to?
Their request was like, where do we land on it? They wasn't saying you can't use it because you can't tell people not to use it, but they was just saying don't use it to write scripts. Like and no matter how a machine, and I don't know because I'm not that tech savvy, but maybe if a machine gathers enough information, it can distinguish nuance. That's even weird to say, but humans write with nuance, and that's the shit that you relate to: a smirk, a facial expression, shit like that. That's written into a script that you can see, and it's funny even without words. Yeah. Machines can't do that. They don't understand nuance. They don't understand the small little things that humans have between each other when we're communicating. They don't understand that.
But you know what I think on a very small scale, but what I think helps them to develop the understanding of those nuances is emojis. Like, why do you think Apple or has continued to improve upon the emojis to match our expressions, our emotions?
That's the data that the computer is collecting. I'm sure they're taking those emojis and seeing all our messages and understanding how we communicate with each other, and probably trying to use that to pick up nuance. But again, it's a human thing. It's really hard to put that in a computer. And if it does, it would have to be a supercomputer that has gathered like millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of file of data to even pull that off.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'm sure they have. It's almost like you think about an immigrant coming to the U.S. and not understanding like slang, or somebody
when you hurt somebody's feelings, or when you're being aggressive,
right?
Shit like
or
that.
Like in certain ways. I was looking at a thread, and I forget what the topic was, but they were talking about people from Russia. Oh, it was Lil Duval. He was talking about dating an Asian person, and he was saying, don't look for them to have compassion. Like, they're just not compassionate. They're not a compassionate society. Now, I know that's a huge generalization, but some people were agreeing. You all right?
Yeah.
Some people were agreeing. Now, then somebody commented and said, people from Russia, like, just culturally, they are hardened.
Hard people.
Yeah. So it's like them, they can imagine somebody from Russia, they may want to tell you something like, I don't know, like they don't like your hairstyle. And they may come across really harsh, but they don't understand.
They may ask you, why are you fat?
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, like, we don't do that here in this country. That shit is, not frowned upon. You don't do that. Yeah. But they'll ask you something like that. Why are you fat? And it's like,
like
is that a joke? You about to say psych? Shannon Sharp, god damn, had a podcast with Brittany Renner on, and Brittany Renner is 31 years old, and she slept with 35 men. She said, when couples get together, they always want to know each other's body count and all that kind of stuff, and we never really had conversations about that, nor do I care to, but it's just based on public information. Being 31 years old and sleeping with 35 guys, is that a lot?
That is. It is. I mean, and I feel like I'm not familiar with the interview, or I didn't see it. I'm mad that he answered and that she I'm sorry.
He didn't ask the question.
Okay.
He did not ask the question how many people that you slept with.
Yeah,
she offered that information saying just something in jest. And oh, by the way, I've slept with 35 guys.
Yeah, the fact that she even put that out there, which I'm not surprised because it's her, so her wanting, the clickbait for it. But even in terms of a couple, like, I wouldn't want anybody to, I don't think that that's information that should be asked. But yes, that is very high because you think to yourself, okay, let's say you started having sex. I'm going to just say 15, I don't know her personally, but I'm going to just say 15. That means you've been having sex for 16 years, right? And 35 guys. So even if, you had one boyfriend every 6 months, you're still exceeding that. So there was some overlap somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I would think as a woman, if I was single and in that situation, I would have to evaluate what I'm doing. Like, why do I keep being in relationships and they not lasting? Or am I just giving out free cooch and ain't even a relationship?
Well, not that it matters or an excuse, but obviously she's promiscuous. And so maybe she's just, that I'm a woman, I'm independent, I'm grown, I sleep with who I want to sleep with, where I'm an adult, like that type of attitude.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people don't care about, well, that's the thing now. Nobody cares about body count. Nobody cares, we know this and this and that. But if I only think people feel like that because they don't know. That's why you don't care. Right. But if you knew that your girl or fiance to be or girl that you are falling in love with slept with 35 guys and y'all 28 years old, y'all 30 years old, that's information that probably would lead you to believe,
change
would
your
change the
perception
situation
of that person. Yeah, that's why I feel like it's not.
So it does matter if you know. It only doesn't matter if you don't know.
Yes.
So people take that stance like, okay, it don't matter. I just like the person, but that's because you didn't ask the question and you don't know.
But that person could have changed. So I think that's where the rub comes into play because this could have been this person's past. And maybe they changed, maybe they did get to know themselves better or realize that they didn't want to continue to live that life. And maybe for the last 4 years of their life, they were celibate before they met you. Mm-hmm. So are you going to judge them on who they were over the last 4 years as they have been evolving and maturing and maybe healing, or are you going to judge them by who they were prior to that? Which
I think it all matters. If coming from a man's perspective, because that's like saying, you were in the crack epidemic and you was on crack for a decade and a half of your life, and now you were clean for the last 10 years, and you 40-something years old, and you probably doing everything right in life now. But that doesn't negate the fact that you slept with 65 guys or 70
No,
guys.
I'm not saying that it negates it, but I think that's why it's one of those things that it's...
Especially if the information is known. This only applies if the information is known,
right.
Because if it's not known, then there's no conversation to be had.
Right.
So only if the information is known that I know my girl or my wife's body count and I'm uncomfortable with it, because even if I give her, she was sleeping or having sex at 16, she 35 and she had 35 men. Like, that's not, the math don't add up.
That's a lot. I don't even think it's so much that people don't care about body count anymore. I don't think that sex is looked at as a sacred thing anymore.
Right.
There was a time where it would be like, oh my goodness, like, even as a young girl, like you just weren't so fast to, you were almost not ashamed, but there was some shyness. Even if you weren't a shy girl, there was some shyness where you weren't just willing to give of yourself.
There was some prep. There was some preparation.
Well, but I mean, there was some shyness in the sense that you weren't just willing to give yourself to a little boy. Like, you didn't want to be naked. You didn't want him to see you in certain ways. Where, like, now at, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, they busting it open, making videos, wanting to be adults. Like, doing things that adults are doing. Even if not physically, they are given the perception that they are, whether it's, the way they dress, the way they dance, with social media, how they position themselves in terms of the image that they give off. So it's just not, I don't think people automatically think my body count doesn't matter, but their actions show that, because they're not thinking about it in that sense that, oh, I don't want to give my body to just anybody. And unfortunately, that comes with, unfortunately, but hopefully it comes with age, if that isn't instilled in you as a young girl and boy, because that's one of those double standards that shouldn't be overlooked. As a boy, like, I wouldn't want a man to have a body count of 35 women.
Right. That's extremely high. Yeah. I think so too. So if she's 31 years old and say, she turns 50 years old or 45 years old and has added 10 to 12 people to that count. So you're at 45 or 42 or something like that. Is that a woman just living her life? Is that like...
It's a woman that's hurting. She's searching for something.
Because like, if you took 100 women from all different races and backgrounds, and if they was willing to give the information, would any of them at 50 years old be at almost 50 men?
I think a lot of women would, unfortunately, but I think those, just like her, I think those are women.
So you think a lot of women out here that are almost 50 years old almost have 50 men?
I mean, well, okay, a lot. I don't want to say a lot, but I don't think it would be as uncommon as some may think.
Would you think 1 in 3, 1 in 5, 1 in 10?
I would probably say 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 10
women that's 50 have 50 men.
Yeah, I would probably say 1 in 10. Over a lifetime, yeah, I would say, yeah. Well, up 50 years old, yeah, I would say 1 in 10. Because, again, you got to think about the last, generations. Then a lot of women were promiscuous in their teen years. Then you got to think about people who have, who are part of, at 50, you figure 50 years ago, that was like, you were in your heyday at the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
So, the club scene was a little different than like that Studio 37 club scene back in the 60s and 70s. But still, yeah, I think, and this is the thing too, if they are still single, because you got to think, if at 50 you're still single and dating, unfortunately, you're probably still adding to your body count. But right, if you have met, if you're 50 and you've been married for, 10, 15, 20 years, then it would be different. But I think in looking at that number, looking at that population, you would have to look at women who are single at 50. That would change the dynamic.
Okay. Because
you would hope at, if you were married or in a relationship that your numbers stopped. You would hope.
So at 31 years old, having 35 men, and so we can judge the number and say that that's high. We just did that. Going backwards, how low would it have to go to be the same age for you to say it's not high?
I mean, that's subjective, because...
Well, why isn't the other way subjective? It can't be you have your cake and eat it too. How is you can say, okay, that's a high number, but you can't say what to you, just your opinion, what would be a good number at 31? If you can say that's a bad number at 31.
Because again, if you think and it makes my stomach hurt to think about like body, like for women and stuff, like just that whole conversation is, I don't think anybody should be having that conversation publicly. But I would say, if she's 31 years old, 10 maybe, okay. It shouldn't be.
Well, that's not.
I don't know. 10, or maybe 5. I don't know. It depends. And you got to think about who you're looking at too, because that is different depending on the lifestyle. Wasn't she like I mean, I don't want to say she was a prostitute, but like,
I don't know what she was as far as her background. I don't know, but I mean, all this goes into just an opinion. It's not like I want you to sit here and judge women. I'm just saying it's public information.
But see, that's what I think that
Hold on,
I think
let me
that
finish
is
my thought. It's like it's public information that she said I slept with 35 men and I'm 31 years old. Okay, you can say as a woman that's too high. So I'm just saying at 31 years old, what would you say was low? Like it's not like
I
you
think
judging
it is
women.
Judging to say what a number should be. No, but we all judge people regardless of what our expectations or what we think the standard is. So I think
know,
it
but
is
I'm just
judging
saying for the sake of the conversation. If we just judge to say that it's too high, then what's wrong with saying what you think? Just your opinion, not what you think women should be doing.
I
just your
understand what you're saying.
Of,
but I still think, and even if I said 5, if I said 10, if I said 15, that's still making a judgment because they're saying, okay, if I say 10, okay, if your body count is 12 and you're 31, then that's too high. So it's still making a judgment about somebody else's life and what they're doing. Because if I say, okay, at 30...
No, I just think you're thinking is how people are going to take it. It's just your opinion, just like you gave your opinion of what you thought was high. It's no different from you giving your opinion on what
that's
you think
still a
is
judgment
low.
too, in saying I think 35 is high. So I'm not saying there's anything like you're still making a judgment and giving your opinion on whether if you say nah that's too high, nah that's cool. You're still judging on what you think is acceptable. But I mean, I think most people would probably think 35 was too high. It's still a judgment regardless. Now, from a man's perspective, at a 31-year-old, what number could you meet a woman and God forbid y'all had that conversation?
That's something I would defer to you with because I just see the whole number.
No. I'm saying if you met a woman and God forbid y'all had this conversation to say, I don't even know how somebody approaches that
just what's your body count? Like that's what people say. There's no other way to ask the question. Like what's your body count?
No, you might say how many men have you slept with or something like that. I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't know what terminology people. If I was single and dating and somebody asked me that, I wouldn't go out with them again. But as a man, what number do you think for a 31-year-old? What number would you be like, nah, I ain't messing with her? Because like that you would deem as being too high?
It depends on when you started having sex. So if I thought to myself, okay, you 31 years old and you have 35 men.
No, I'm not saying 35. I'm saying what number do you think?
At what age?
31.
At 31 years old. I'm 31 too?
Yeah.
And if you said you slept with 10 guys, I would be fine with that.
No, at what date does a man think to ask a woman that?
I don't know where you, like, and it doesn't bother me, but you things that you disagree with, you have this, like, like this disassociation with it, where it's like, where were you when we come up? People asked each other this. Like, people asked, this isn't a new thing. People asked each other in the 90s, how many people you slept with? And it came out just like that. Maybe you never been asked that or you never asked the question, but coming up in the 90s, people asked each other that. Like, that was a common thing when you were messing with somebody to be like, okay, it was kind of and you kind of did it in a playful way.
But so think about, so coming up in the 90s, you were a teenager, right?
Right.
So it was a little different than if you were dating
your
30s, 40s,
but
50s.
I only know what I know. And in the 90s, I was a teenager, and that's when I realized, okay, this is a common thing. People ask me, I ask girls.
So I wonder, is it a common thing amongst 40 and 50-year-olds who are dating to ask that? I understand in the 90s it was common. In the 90s you were a teenager.
But
so
I'm
that's
saying
what
it didn't stop in well, obviously I've been with you since I was 26, but before that it hadn't stopped. Like, people wanted to know that information.
But
so you knew, because you didn't want to sleep with somebody that had, I don't know. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, if he messed with her or if she messed with him, I don't want to. So you wanted to know who people slept with is all I'm saying.
So you're not just asking a number, you're asking the people.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying.
And
as a teenager, I hear what you're saying.
I don't know if you're saying that you don't know if 40-year-olds are having that conversation.
When you're meeting and dating, like if you're single and 40.
How many people you slept with?
Yeah. I mean, I think
I wouldn't think it's a scarce conversation, because if you're in your 40s and you're having conversations of, let's go to the doctor together to get AIDS tests, let's go get STD tests, then the question of how many people you slept with is so much less than that. But, so it's like, yes, that would be part of the conversation.
But you could have slept with 3 people, and I still want to go and make sure that we're healthy.
Right.
But, and the thing too, I would think when you're at an older age, you got to think to yourself, how do I know? Me asking this
Everybody's
question.
Everybody's probably lying.
Exactly.
Everybody's probably
So
lying.
what value is it in it to ask if I have no idea if this person is telling the truth?
And this is coming from a woman. The value in it is you can probably read the person. You can ask the person a question and see how they react to it. And that can tell you something. Not necessarily them saying the number, but you could ask me and I could get all fidgety and say 6. And you could be thinking, this nigga lying. But that's leading to a bigger issue that it ain't even about the 6. Why did he say that? But why is he lying to me right now?
But it could be, is he embarrassed because he feel, if a man is 45 and he's been with 6 women, that body language could also be interpreted as, is he gonna be embarrassed?
Men don't think like that when it could have been 6 girlfriends.
As a woman, you would think that's, for a 46-year-old man, that's a relatively low number. So you would think, is his body...
How if he had 6 girlfriends? How is that a low number for him? If he came out of high school, was with a girl for 5 years, was with another girl for 8 years, was with another girl for 7 years, was with another girl for 7 years.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the initial question and answer. Now, after that, if you get more details, then okay, the numbers would match up, and you would think, okay, he likes long-term relationships. He ain't just been hopping and bopping around. But initially, to just hear 6. To some, it may sound like a low number. So that's all I'm saying.
But I think if me and you dating, and I tell you, you ask me how many women you slept with over your life, and we're 45 years old, and I say 5. I think the first thought would come to your head is maybe he likes long-term relationships. I don't think the first thought to your mind is he's embarrassed because he ain't getting no coochie his whole life.
Well, no, you said like he would start fidgeting or something. If
because
you just said
he was
5
lying.
and you stood, but that's what I'm saying. As a woman, I wouldn't immediately interpret that he's lying. I would think to myself, wow, that's a pretty low number. Like, so again, yes, he could be lying, or yes, I would just be curious because that's a low number.
If a man was asking a woman that, if they was having that conversation and she started to uncross her legs and get fidgety and cross her arms and say a number at that question, a man's going to think you're lying. No other thought's going to pop in his head except you're lying, because look at how you're reacting. They're not going to think, oh, you might be embarrassed. That's why you said that.
Now, okay, in reverse, this is a double standard of the world. Let's just say a woman says 6. She could be fidgeting, thinking, damn, is he going to think that's a high number? So it's one of those things for a woman. I think women, we don't really know. We know men talk a lot about it, I don't want to say a lot, but we know it's conversation that happens about it, but we don't really know the standard that men have. So you don't know, like women will say 3, because it's like, okay, 3 is kind of, it's a low number, but you're not saying 1. But then you think to yourself, is 3 realistic if you're, 47 years old? So it's one of them things where, okay, if you say 8, is he going to be like, damn, 8?
Let me be clear.
So that's why I'm saying the fidgeting could be interpreted different ways based on who's answering.
In my personal opinion, this is a conversation that I can acknowledge that people have, but for me, real men just don't want to know this. Like, if you love your woman and love her for who she is, it's just not something that you want to know. It's not something that you can't even stomach envisioning your woman doing something else with another guy. So why would you want to know how many people she slept with?
Right.
So when you at a certain age and you on a different frequency, you don't even want to know those things. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying I agree, and I totally get when you're when like you said, the 90s, when you're a teenager, maybe even young 20s, I guess I could see that kind of being, a conversation. But as you get older, you just got to think again, what is the value in asking? Not saying there isn't any value in knowing if you knew for sure you would get the answer. But again, that could be, you could meet a woman who is, again, I don't know why I keep saying 47, but she could be 47 years old and she could say she had 12 partners. But she's been celibate for the last 15 years. So you think maybe she was promiscuous in her 20s, but now she's a new woman. So you think...
But I think you need to know that information for a myriad of reasons. Like, how about you was promiscuous in your 20s, you had some abortions, and now you're in your 30s and your 40s and you doing shit right, or in your 30s where you still can have kids, and you meet a guy who wants kids. Like, you may have done something in your past that negates you from doing that, and you have to explain why.
Well, I mean, that can happen if you had one partner. So that's what I'm saying. The number of partners, that question, you have to question, what is the value? How much weight does that answer have? Because God forbid you contracted an incurable STD. Right. It doesn't mean that you were promiscuous. God forbid. Exactly. Yeah, I got so that's all I'm saying. Now, I know that at a point people have those conversations. I would just think, and I ain't been on a new date with a new person in almost 23 years, so I don't know what's being asked. I have friends or family, and I think to myself, I don't think that's a conversation they have, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out. It's like that a conversation that people have when they're meeting people, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you was in the street and you ended up with 8 kids and you had a dozen abortions while you were in the street doing whatever you was doing, and you cleaned yourself up, do you think that any partner in your future should know that because it was that extreme? Or no, do you still think that's something that only you should know? I mean, considering you got 8 kids, I would think you probably ain't trying to have any more. So, I mean, if you are past that stage of trying to have kids, I don't think it should be information that's disclosed, like, up front. No, I didn't say that.
Well, I don't mean like
disclose, period. It could be whatever time. I'm just thinking, do your future partners need to know your past like that? Or is it only for the one person that you settle down with?
I don't even know if that one person needs to know that if it doesn't have an impact on what y'all are doing now. I don't know if they need to know that. I mean, no, if it's a situation where I think I disagree with that, but okay, like that's. I mean, again, y'all not trying to have kids. Now, if it's a situation where you got some health issues that are
What if you are trying to have kids? Like, what if all this?
Well, you said after 8 kids, I would think that you probably.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you did that? Like those, like they not like kids you was raising. You was running the street.
But I'm just thinking, if you had 8 kids, you're probably at an age now where you probably are past the baby bearing, maybe not even baby bearing, but baby desiring stage. I would think if you had 8 kids and you met a new man, you would probably it would probably be under some conditions that like, I ain't having any more kids, and he probably has kids, and y'all probably comfortable and y'all can move on in your life with whatever step babies y'all got across the aisle. But yeah, now again, if you had some medical issues or even some mental health issues that was impacting your current life, then I think there is some level of disclosure that you should have with your partner, your long-term partner, whether it becomes your husband or your wife or whomever. There is some level of disclosure because they feeling like, damn, she depressed all the time and blah, blah, blah. And they don't even, this was just in a book that I read, where the lady had been raped in her 20s. She had a baby that she ended up giving up for adoption, and then she met her husband. They went on, had a life. They had 2 kids, and she always fell through this deep, dark depression. Well, nobody ever knew about the baby that she had that was given up for adoption.
A myriad of reasons on why I think the future partner should know.
That's what I'm saying. In that case, it would have been helpful for her husband. Her family, they just went on in life thinking
but
that...
you don't know who's going to be your husband. So you kind of just want each relationship to go well. So you don't think that should be disclosed until you know? Like, what if you don't know how it's going to unfold? And I'm not saying, hey, how you doing? It's the first night. Yo, I did this in my past. But if we've been rocking together for a year now, you don't think I should know that that's some shit you did in the past? Like, just give me, I should know. Because we could go another year and another year. I could be on one knee soon. Like, when you going to wait till I'm on one knee to tell me? Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. This is a tricky part, too. Like, what if his morals don't agree with what you did, like, in terms of abortion?
And you end up not being on one knee because of the information.
And
because
but again,
now I know where you stand.
But she could be a changed person.
Yeah, I guess some people
change.
Can be with abortion and then all of a sudden be against it.
Sometimes people do it and it impacts them so severely, that mentally, emotionally, that I know of someone who it affected them like drastically. And this was 20-something years ago. And I know that person, if they had ever, been in it, like, I know they would have never done it again. It was a huge regret. So that's all. I mean, it's one of them things that I don't even know what dating in the 40s would be like. I don't want to know.
I was about to say, I don't want to know either.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Oh my goodness, we watched something. We were talking about something the other day that I was going to share that I learned, but I can never remember. I should have wrote it down or something.
So you didn't learn it because you can't remember.
I
you
know,
didn't retain it.
I did not retain it. Yeah, I did.
You didn't learn it.
Again, didn't learn nada. Nothing.
You come home from school and they say what you learned today. You got to say what you retained.
Yeah.
You didn't. You didn't learn it.
Don't count if you didn't. Yeah.
$3 grand. I didn't. I wasn't saying I learned. Hold on. Did I learn something?
I know the butterflies that you taught me about. Oh
yeah, the butterflies, the monarch butterflies. One butterfly is born, I want to say, let's just say for the sake, I'm going to butcher this. Let's just say in Florida. This one butterfly has to fly to Asia. And this 6-month trek that this butterfly flies to Asia that it takes, it dies and gets born again 6 or 7 times. And its DNA is so close that the first butterfly is the last butterfly when it leaves from Florida, and then it dies in, I don't know, Uzbekistan, and then dies again in some other place and dies again some other way. But by the time it gets to Asia, where it's supposed to go, where all the other breeding grounds are, it's the same butterfly that left from Florida.
Pretty dope.
And that's just amazing.
I know I did learn something. You kind of taught me this. Did you know that cheetahs could have a litter that are from 2 different males?
Oh, yeah.
That, so they could have, which, I never knew this about animals, period, that have a litter. Like, even when you think about dogs breeding, like, can they have babies that come from multiple daddies? I mean, but now we know cheetahs can.
Cheetahs can. I don't know
if like a regular cat can.
Yeah, I don't know how that works without. Well, I've seen alley cats fuck I've seen a girl alley cat fuck 8 dude alley cats. And walk around with their ass up and just letting dudes hump on them. So I don't know whether her litter of kittens had 8 daddies.
And cats and dogs are not animals that have sex for pleasure. So I always wondered, do they is it one and done, bloop bloop? They have sex and they're pregnant.
That I have seen in my life. An alley cat give it up to a lot of other alley cats.
So when she go and have babies, it could probably be from several daddies.
Yeah. And I don't know whether that's just a cat thing. I've never seen dogs do anything like that. Dogs kind of sniff each other out. Like, we're gonna go somewhere quiet and mate. But cats, yeah, I seen a cat like raise her ass and give it to like all the cats, and all the boy cats is like ran, ran, like all excited because they can smell it, and she just like getting plucked by all of them.
That's disgusting.
But that's that cheetah was a whore too who did that,
and it was brothers. So she had brother cousins. All right, 3 grams.
First gram, you go.
Anthony Anderson and his wife, divorce was finalized, and he has to pay $20,000 a month in alimony. You know the sad part.
Also, if his income is to exceed $2 million a year, she gets 10% of that.
I mean, I hope that this is. I mean, divorce sucks, right? Oh, I can only imagine. I think it would suck. You know, when you love somebody for so long and then you don't anymore. I don't want to say you don't, but for whatever reason, y'all aren't married anymore.
At the worst condition, he has to pay $250,000 a month if it all goes her way. If he makes the money and she has to give it to her, $250,000 a month.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if this is if there is still love between them, where there's like no harboring ill feelings. It's just sad when you see, you know, people be together that long. But where I was going with that, I saw people making comments about this, and it bothers me when people say marriage is just a business. People were like, "Oh, you wouldn't be so shocked about us if you just really understood that, you know, the concept of marriage is just a business." And it's like, no, it's sad that people think that way. Marriage is love.
Speaking from the government standpoint, it is business. Speaking from our standpoint, it's our love, it's our relationship. It means everything to us. But to the government and some people, yeah, it's a business. That's why they make you do the paperwork.
But it's a shame because how can you, like you said, people that have, I don't want to say they have nothing, but people that have what they need, nothing extra. They love each other. They work hard. Like, if somebody did leave the other one, it ain't even no money to be left to the other one. They're together because they truly love each other. Like, how can you look at that as a business?
Because it's a contract that you two have with each other by the state or the government saying that you're married to each other. If one of y'all should breach that, then there's ramifications. Less for the male than it is for the female. So even if y'all make $30,000 a piece and y'all in love like a motherfucker and have everything y'all need for essentials and living y'all best life, and something goes wrong, you are entitled to take half of his money or child support or alimony and shit like that. So it's just, it doesn't matter your tax bracket or how much you make or anything. It's just a fucked up situation.
Well, I know California is a community property
it's
state.
like that because of the paperwork.
Yeah, California is a community property state where you get half. Not all states are like that. I don't know what
Florida and California, I think,
are the 50%.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that sucks. But
so it's like that, and again, you could marry somebody with $100 million, be with them for 14 months, and when you leave, you get 50. That's like that. Whoa, like even if I'm okay with taking care of you, saying I'll set you up the rest of your life, 50, half, like what the fuck? Yeah. I could have gave you 5 on the low and been like, I still love you. I want you to be okay here. And you could have been like, good, I got $5 million. But no, the paperwork, the lawyers will tell you you're entitled to this and you're going to get 50. And it's like, damn, like we still love each other. Do I deserve 50% of his money? I was with him 14 months. Yeah, it took him 25 years to make that.
Well, that's why some people have like provisions like built into like whether it's a prenup or something like that. Like,
second gram, if I ever, like, not ever, since that's not even an issue, that's not how I want to phrase the question. If you met me at a point where I was rich, not wealthy, and I wanted you to sign a prenup, but we still had the relationship that we went through, like everything was the same, so as far as us growing and the way we love each other still was the same, but it just was like, like, because I got this money or came into this money, like I just want to protect it, but you know, like you always gonna be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And would you sign a prenup?
I would sign a prenup because I that's one. I don't even have that mind. You know, when we first got together, like
neither one of us had shit.
Well, not only that, the little bit that you might have had, like I was never that type to ask for or like the hand me out, you know, back then. But
not so much now.
But yeah, I definitely would have, because again, I wouldn't be going into it, which some people can say, oh, that's being naive. I'm not going into it thinking that we're not going to be together. So yeah, I'm gonna sign this because we ain't never gonna need it. That's the mentality that I would have. Right. Like, we ain't never gonna need it.
Now, what's your take on it's 22 years now next month.
Mm-hmm.
You bringing up the prenup? You're saying, yo, we need to kill this thing because it's 22 years, or are you just letting it lay there like a pierogi on a plate?
Yeah, I mean, we here. Ain't nobody going nowhere. And
so we don't talk about the prenup no more now that it's 22 years. Like, it's just there. But you're not going to be like, hey, babe, it's us now. Like, it's been 22 years. I signed it 22 years ago. Like, we ain't going nowhere. Like, I took care of you enough, nigga, where I am owed. Like, but when we first started, I wasn't. But now I am, nigga.
But the prenup would just be saying, okay, I can't take anything that you have. But now that here we are 22 years later, like, what we got is ours.
Right.
So, God forbid, if you went your separate way, I went my separate way, I'm taking what's mine, you taking what's yours. You know, whatever you came into it with, keep it. You know, I was talking about this the other day to somebody. I forget under what, not about a prenup, but when Beyonce say the best revenge is your paper, like, for me, and that's if, you know.
You're talking to somebody who's got 16 pools in their house.
But I'm talking about when you walk away from somebody. For me as a woman, I'm going to show you how I'm going to get it. Like, I'm not going to want you to think that I'm going to be down bad because you didn't give me anything. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm not going to have my hand out. I ain't going to have the lawyers like fighting you to take what's yours. Go ahead. Because
as a woman, you made a home for 22 years. You wouldn't think that you're entitled to something. Like, why would you?
Yeah, I'm entitled to half.
Why would you like have that chip of, I'm gonna show you, nigga, I don't want no handout? Like,
no, what I'm saying is, like, the prenup would be whatever you came into this with. I can't have any of that.
Right.
But now 22 years later, this is all ours, so we gonna split this. It ain't like I'm leaving with nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
But even after 22 years, you wouldn't feel like you're still entitled to that?
No.
That
if you felt like you wanted to say, babe, we going, but I'm not about to ask you. Because I wouldn't want it to be that, I wouldn't want it to be me asking you to undo it. Like, I would want that to be from your heart.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you decided to do. I'm going to probably be spending it all, you know, during the time anyway.
Last gram.
45 children from the state of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily Cleveland, but around the Cleveland area,
mm-hmm.
are missing within a 1 month period of time.
Month of September, 30 days.
This is a problem.
It is. And police seem to not know what happened, which is like, who the fuck else do you turn to figure out what happened? You don't want people out there investigating themselves. So how don't you know where 45 kids went in 30 days?
Males and females. Now, we kind of talked about this, you know, when we first started hearing whispers of it. I understand not all runaways that are posted are runaways. You got some fast-ass little girls that, you know, want to be out in the streets. You got girls and boys that, you know, might want to go join a gang. You got some boys that, you know, maybe be living a alternative lifestyle that they think their families may not approve of. So some of the times when you see people posting stuff on like those no gun zone pages or whatever, you know, we kind of know like, you know, sometimes these kids ain't really missing. However, this is a problem that should not be overlooked. 45 kids,
yeah,
and let's just say 2 of them ran away. 3 of them went to a gang. Let's say 10 of them maybe ain't truly missing. They kind of left. that still leaves you with 35. Let's just say 30 in one concentrated area like that. But no, 45?
Or let's say all 45 was
really
trafficked.
are, yeah.
Yeah, let's say all 45 were
killed.
trafficked.
Like, something is happening. And it's scary as hell.
Yeah.
It's scary as hell.
That's obviously a targeted community, a targeted area, or targeted communities of black people, because a lot of these kids are black, and 45 kids missing in 30 days is beyond extreme. And if that doesn't get people attention, it should get local law enforcement, the local politicians. These are things that they can run on and fix. So they should be biting at this kind of thing. Like, why the fuck 45 kids go missing in 30 days?
And let's say this too. It isn't really 30 days, because when we think about it, September isn't over. When you look at the dates, it kind of was like
it was 90 days, almost 70 kids, but 45 of them went missing in the month of September.
Okay, got you.
You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was over a span of 90 days, with September being like the last month of the 90 days. Okay,
right. Because I was going to say, I think, it's actually started in May, I believe. And looking at the story, 50 have been reported in the city of Cleveland in the month of September only. So Cleveland, Ohio, 1,072 children have gone missing in the year 2023.
Mm-hmm.
1,072 children, and the year is not over.
Mm-hmm.
And just 50 in September. So like you said, September isn't over.
Nope.
September isn't over. Something is happening where, for whatever reason,
Groomers,
they're honing in.
Kids are being coerced into shit.
Yeah.
This, and I was just having this conversation in my barbershop. Kids are smarter at 10 years old today than I was at 10 years old, right? As far as tech and how savvy they are, how ambitious they are. I wasn't that smart at 10 years old as they are today. Mm-hmm. But I'd be damned if you could have got me in back of a van at 10 years old. You could not.
Yeah.
And today, these kids, it just happening all over the place with the trafficking and stuff like that. But when I was 10 years old, there wasn't a fucking puppy, a piece of candy. There wasn't shit you could show me to get me to walk up to a van.
Well, the thing is, too, I clearly remember there were events that happened during the 80s, early 90s, and they made like TV movies and pictures and stuff, but those were shocking. What happened to Adam will forever remain in my mind, from John Walsh, who is the host of America's Most Wanted. His son went missing in the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
That prompted my mom at that age to, like, when I said on the previous episode, we ain't never had no sit down conversations about how to be an adult, how to be a woman, and that kind of stuff. But we had conversations about stranger danger. We had a secret password where she said to me, don't ever let anybody come to the school and say, oh, your mom told me to come pick you up. And if they do, we had a password that they had to have. The whole, don't go to nobody's car to get candy or help them look for a puppy. So it's weird. We never had conversations about other stuff, but that
fucking myth got tons, and it's not a funny
because
thing.
It was happening.
Yeah, but I don't mean to laugh or make light of it, because these were kids that was actually affected by that. But it's how many puppy stories got kids in cars, like pieces of candy, like that shit is it makes my stomach hurt to think about it. But it's like, are you kidding me, bro? Like, I got my own fucking candy, and no, I don't want your fucking dog. Like, I'm not coming up to your dark van.
Well, no, they would say, I lost my puppy. Can you help me find him?
No.
Well, recently, there was a story, and I forget what page it was, but they kind of did one of them, like, undercover investigations with a little girl. The mom thought that her child would never respond. And they, set up a fake page. They was talking to the mom and lured the little girl to this boy's house she thought she was going to.
I saw it.
Yeah.
And
so you got to think, it still is happening.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
it's happening.
Let's do a wrap. Act 2 the podcast, episode 142, coming to a close. It's your boy International Walt.
It's your girl Taj, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And again, you guys can find us on act2thepodcast.com, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok,
Amazon Music,
and others coming soon. That's it. I said, yeah, it's your boy International Walt.
And it's your girl Taj, the
Did I
co-hostess
say
with the
it's
mostest.
your boy International Walt?
You did, and I said it's your girl Taj, the co-hostess with the mostest.
If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.